You're listening to Townsquare Sunday. Suzanne Sullivan is committed to making sure that the bells that used to be housed at the St. Lawrence Martyr Church in New Bedford will have a lasting and honored place in our community. And her goal is to have those bells restored and eventually be part of a bell tower to be erected at Klasky Common in New Bedford. It's been a remarkable story so far. Saving the bells is kind of a remarkable story. We'll talk to her about that. But right now, Miss Sullivan needs the help of all of us to help her. So welcome, Suzanne.
Thank you, Jim. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
These bells have a real history.
They do.
Date back to their arrival in New Bedford in 1888, I guess.
Correct.
Why don't you continue the story?
1888, the bells came to New Bedford from McShane Foundry in Maryland. They were built specifically for the bell tower. The bell tower was erected after the church was built for the bells. They came in 1888, and they were put up on Beethoven's birthday in 1888. From what I know from newspaper clippings and readings, the whole town was present. The bells were blessed. They were consecrated, and they were then erected in the tower.
So, fast forward 150 years or so.
130.
Okay.
130.
How did you get involved with the bells?
Well, I've been a lifelong member of St. Lawrence Parish. And so even as a child, the bells were a big part of our lives. We heard them ring at noon all day. They were just part of our everyday lives, and they were always there. So we just kind of always expected to hear them. Well, as the years went on, they needed repairing, and, they weren't all playing like they used to. And so about maybe, 8 years ago, we started working on restoring the tower and restoring the bells, and we had some fundraising done. Well, to fast forward a little bit, I'm going to say that did not work out the way we planned. And so what happened was in 2014, there was a plan to try to sell the bells. And a lot of us were very upset about that because they have such a history and they're so important to our heritage and our ancestors and the people that work so hard to put them up. So we kind of stopped it at that time. Well, then it was kind of quiet. And then in 2017,
Around there.
2017, we heard a plan kind of on the side that they were going to be sold. And we kind of didn't really know about it, and we checked into it, and we found out that it was going to happen. We wrote letters to try to prevent that and to try to stop it and say that we would work diligently to, make more money, see them stay up in the tower. Well, that didn't work. And in November, it was, 2017, we saw them being removed from the tower. And it was heartbreaking. It was just so emotionally heartbreaking. And so at the time, we didn't really know what to do. So anyway, we decided that we would stop them from being sold to the Bell Company. And we did that in various ways. But the Bell Company did cooperate with us and agree to sell them back to us if we raised the money.
All right, so after the bells were removed from St. Lawrence, because they eventually were taken out of the bell tower, where did they go?
They went over to A1 Crane in Fairhaven. And at that point, they were supposed to leave Fairhaven within 2 days to go to Cincinnati. So we, at that time, did some, checking to see what we could do to stop that. And we did get in touch with the Bell Company, and they graciously decided that they saw the way we felt about the bells and how important they were to us, and they decided they would work with us to be able to buy them back. So we had a price of $75,000. That was the $32,000 that was paid for the bells, the $28,000 to remove them. We had to take over that cost, and they gave us a month to raise the money. Well, we went and tried to raise the money, and we got a couple of extensions, but by about 6 to 7 weeks, we raised the $75,000, and we got the bells back.
Okay, so now you own the bells.
Technically, I own the bells. Somebody had to have their name on the bill of sale, and it was me because I was out there. So I own the bells, but they're really not mine. They belong to the community as far as I'm concerned.
All right, so there's 14 bells. Is that the number?
Yes, there's 14 bells. They're what consists as a chime. It's called a chime. They have every musical note. They play music. They will play anything once they're programmed to play. and they are just beautiful.
So I assume the idea of this bell tower came from your discussions with the company in Cincinnati.
Exactly. You have to put them in a tower because, of course, they have to be high because they make a lot of noise, they play, and you want to have the sound carry. So we talked with the bell company about doing that. This company has been in business for 150 years, and they are experts on bells and towers. Actually, they just restored a bell at Friends Academy, and they do extensive work in this area. So we worked with them, and also the city as far as the location went. And there were various places that people talked about, but obviously you have to put them in a place where they're not going to be, intrusive, to the properties around, and you have to put them in a place where they can be enjoyed by everyone. And also that location is Clasky Common Park is the oldest park in the city. The Christmas lights are there. There's a farmer's market there. It's a beautiful neighborhood. It's 3 or 4 blocks north of the church, so people in that area are used to hearing the bells. And
so how was Klasky Park selected? I know it wasn't just throw a dart at a map. There was a lot of consideration.
Right. We consulted with the city and the park board, and they, ultimately it is up to the city and the park board where that kind of a thing would go. And they thought that was a good location. Everything about it was good. And so between the mayor's office and the park board and us, we were open to whatever they thought was a good idea. And they picked the location in the park because we had played with different areas, and they liked that location.
And the Bell Company came to New Bedford, represented.
Yes. The Bell Company came to New Bedford, and he took pictures with a rendering of the tower in that spot in the common. I asked what he thought as an expert on bell towers of the location, and he thought it was wonderful. He said it was a great location, good for the sound, good for the community to be able to hear them, but also, again, not so they would be too close to too many buildings.
So this location is at Klasky Park. It's above the basketball courts on Purchase Street.
Purchase Street, if you go down Purchase and you go in where the sign is, Clasky Common Park, and you go up a little incline, there's a big circle there which says Clasky Common Park, and that's where it's going to go, the tower. The tower is 41 feet tall, so it's quite tall. And it's going to have clocks on it that will be working. And like I said, they'll play music. They will be electronically set up to play music. And so even for holidays, Christmas carols, patriotic celebrations, patriotic songs.
And the bells will be electronically set up to ring the bells as well?
Yes. And I know people have concerns, maybe some people that will hear these bells. No, they will be programmed not to ring, at 5 o'clock in the morning, maybe 9 o'clock in the morning or 8 o'clock on the hour. Sure. They will chime. And then for certain occasions, they will ring. Maybe at noontime they'll play like they do downtown at the Pilgrim Church. So they will be programmed that they will not be going off at 1 o'clock in the morning.
Very good.
Yeah.
You're listening to Town Square Sunday. I'm Jim Phillips. My guest is Suzanne Sullivan, and she is in the process of saving the bells that were formerly in the bell tower at St. Lawrence Church in New Bedford. She has done some great work so far, getting the bells restored. They are in a company, expert company really, in Cincinnati, and they have helped her with some ideas about how to display the bells. City of New Bedford, the park board has given this at least initial approval. And the mayor has voiced support.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how much, let's get right down to it. Finally.
Okay.
How much money do you need to raise?
All right. What we need to raise, the price for the tower, and that's the tower with the bells restored, new clappers, tuned, cleaned, and the tower with the clocks, the price of that is $220,000.
Wow.
Right. Initially, what I need to have is $110,000. That's half the money for them to start the project. Once they have that, the tower, they will work on building the tower, which will take 6 months. In the next 6-month period, I will then work on more extensive fundraising, such as concerts, hopefully selling bricks, other things to raise money, where I have that 6-month period to raise the rest of the money.
So how much money has been raised so far in phase one of this operation?
Well, we haven't been working on it too long, so about $20,000, and that's in a very short period of time. And I have been out, going to different companies where it is such a large amount of money. We do so appreciate everyone's contributions. And people will say, well, you don't want little contributions. And I go, yes, we do. The last time we would get $5, $10, $20, and it adds up. But we also need help from companies and corporations, which I have had. I'm not going to name them at the moment, but they will be. We will give them their publicity.
Yeah, sure.
And everyone who donates, their name will be put in a book. For a donation of $5,000, you will get a plaque. For $1,000, you will be put name on a plaque. So there is going to be definite recognition for any amount of money at the site.
All right.
At the site.
How can people help with this effort?
Well, they can help by, they can make contributions. They can either make them to me, Suzanne Sullivan, at 443 Dana Farms in Fairhaven, 02719, or they can make direct contributions to the New Bedford Credit Union, Purchase Street, 1250 Purchase Street, New Bedford. We have a nonprofit bank account set up there so people can make direct contributions there. It's a nonprofit, so it's tax deductible, anything you donate.
No other social media way to make a donation or a contribution?
I haven't done that yet. Last time we had a GoFundMe page. I didn't do that this time. I kind of I haven't done anything with social media. I'm kind of thinking about that, if that might generate.
I think it might help some, but there's no guarantee in any of this.
Exactly.
If people believe in the process or believe in what you're doing, that will spur them to make a contribution anyway they can.
I think, I know one day, right when this started, I went to the bank one day, and I had a $1,000 contribution, and I looked, and I went, my goodness. And it was a man that I don't even know. He has written me notes, and I've written notes to him back, and he just went to the bank and put the $1,000 in, and I was so it was just so wonderful. It was uplifting. But what I want to emphasize with this, too, is that these bells are a gift to the city. We're looking last week at Notre Dame burning down and them talking about how wonderful that the church is, and it is. It's a wonderful church, and the bells that play there and how they have to restore it. Well, this is our little piece of history in New Bedford. We don't have Notre Dame, but we have our bells, and they're just as important to New Bedford as Notre Dame is to Paris. People might say, no, they're not, but they are. Yeah. They are. They're our history. And we need to make sure that our history gets preserved because of our ancestors and for the future generations. I also, being a school teacher for 35 years, I also would like to do field trips, plan a curriculum for field trips to those bells. There's a lot of history there. They all have names. They all represent different things. I think it would be a great field trip for children.
All right.
Yeah, and it would be a great tourist attraction.
Now, Suzanne, the park board has already given its approval to this project.
Yes.
Do you expect a public hearing of some sort?
We do. I'm meeting with the park board next week. I'm going before the park board again. And we will plan to do a public meeting that anybody who wants to attend can. And if they want more information on what's ever going on and they have any input they want to give us, we'll be glad to listen. And we appreciate everybody's input. And I have talked to quite a few people that live around that area, and they are very happy about it. They think it's going to be a great addition to their neighborhood.
Suzanne, there are people in New Bedford with some money, and then there are people in the region with real money, bigger money.
Right.
Have foundations, businesses, you say you've made contact with some.
Yes. Yes.
That's going to be the second phase, do you think?
Yes. Yeah. I have made, actually, and I'm not going to say exactly who now, but I have made contact with a couple of foundations, and they have agreed to give us some money. I don't know how much yet. I'm waiting to see, and I'm crossing my fingers. But a couple of foundations that I've contacted that you would be familiar with if I mentioned, but I'm not going to. No. And then a couple of local companies, a couple of local companies that have agreed to. But I need more, obviously. I'm trying to contact different banks, different places on the waterfront, like fish auction.
Sure.
The fish houses.
This is an item that's going to add to the quality of life
Absolutely.
in New Bedford.
Absolutely.
And it would seem like there should be people ready to step up
Absolutely.
and get involved. Yeah, I know there are many causes out there today.
There are.
A lot
There
of
are.
causes.
There are.
But for those who are able to help, even small donors,
Absolutely.
wonderful thing.
Absolutely. I have a lady that gave me $5 last week, and she doesn't have money, and she gave me the $5. To her, that's a lot of money.
Sure.
So I'm grateful for everything because I just feel, but I just want people to know that these bells are going to be for the city, for the community, for everybody to enjoy. We hopefully at some point we'll get a brick walkway and maybe gardens around there so people can go and sit on benches and just kind of enjoy the area. Hopefully that will happen.
And hopefully it can happen in the next 6 months or so, really in the next year.
Absolutely.
That this whole thing can come together.
Yeah.
That would be
It would be wonderful.
That would be a great thing.
I was kind of hoping for Christmas, but I don't know if that's going to happen. But it would be great. But if not, next spring maybe. So, it's like, but you have to think big. If you don't dream, and think big, because there are times, I have to say, that I've thought, this is a big job. I'm retired. I don't know. I said, maybe, do I really want to do this? And I said, I have to. And part of the reason I thought of my father and my grandparents belonged to that church. And they would have been heartbroken to see the bells leave. I couldn't stop that. I'm heartbroken about that. I would like to see them where they were. I can't change that. But I can do something about saving them.
Do you have a committee?
It's a small committee at this point. 5 or 6 people at this point.
Okay,
Yeah.
so somebody
It's
to help.
mostly, we have a board of directors and, people that we have input to. But up until this point, it's been kind of narrow because the city has kind of decided where it's going to go, and we know the bell company tells us how much money we need. So what I need more of now is even help with fundraising, and then if I plan, I'd like to maybe plan a concert at the Zeitarian, something like that, and then
That would be a nice idea too.
Yeah.
Well, Suzanne Sullivan, we certainly wish you well. If people want to make a donation again, how can they do that? One more time.
Suzanne Sullivan, 443 Dana Farms, Fairhaven, Massachusetts, 02719, or the New Bedford Credit Union, 1250 Purchase Street, New Bedford, Mass. And there is a bank account that the money can be directly deposited into at that bank.
And the name of the account, Save the Bells?
Save the Bells, Inc.
Save the Bells.
Save the Bells, Inc.
Well, thank you very much, Suzanne.
Thank you, Jim,
Good
for
luck
having
with
me.
this.
I really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Townsquare Sunday, back in just one moment.